The 2023 running back class is insane. We have so much talent this year. We have our stud in Bijan Robinson and a bunch of other dudes who could really take over the NFL. We could really see the landscape of the running back position change in 2023, 2024, 2025 with this rookie class right here. These guys are good from top to bottom. Ranking these guys is hard because it's paralysis from over-analysis with these guys because they're so damn good, and you don't get this every year. You have to really pinpoint each dude and just roll with it. I'm going to rank 5 running backs today, and honestly, these guys can be all over the place in the rankings, and there's more guys who deserve to be in the top 5. And some of these guys who rank 5, 6, 7, 8 would be top 3 in any other class because it's that stacked with talent. So even if you're making the list at 5 or you're just missing at 6 or 7, you're damn good, especially compared to most years. This is how stacked the running back class is, and I want to hammer that home before I start, because I ain't sleeping on anybody. We've been looking at these guys nonstop for the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years, really, if you start going back to their high school days, because we've been going over their high school film, getting ready for these guys on the channel, getting you guys ready for Devy drafts as well, and now these guys are ready to hit the NFL. But these 5 running backs right now, I've been looking at, and it's really hard to rank them. It's really hard. And I've been ranking these guys for a while. I just haven't had the content out. So they've been moving around all year long. And you know what? They're going to get moved around some more. It's going to be fluid. But every time I do, or every so often, I'll put out another video to let you know where I'm at, because things are going to change. More data will come out. I'll watch more film. I'll do more of this. I'll do more of that. And things change. And those who were here last year watching the content, they know that, because that's just what I do. And I really just document the journey of draft season and then share it with this content here on the channel. If that's something you're liking, you better hit that subscribe button, because there's going to be a lot of rookie draft content coming from this channel right here, and I'll get you ready for your rookie drafts. It might be a lot. It might be a lot of talking in circles, but you'll get the information. But let's start with the top 5 in this running back class for right now, which is probably going to change in the next few days, weeks, months, or whatever. But number 1, and will always be number 1, because you know who it is. It's Bijan Robinson from Texas, and he's not moving from here. He's staying here. He's in concrete. He's in gold. He's in silver. He's in platinum. He is the Wolf of Wall Street in this draft. He's the 101, even in Superflex. Non-stop Bijan Robinson. He's guaranteed first-round draft capital. It's just how high. Probably going to be in the top 10. Could flirt with top 5. Who knows? But it's going to be up there. We don't see that much with running backs. Generational talent. Kind of like Saquon Barkley-esque, and the numbers don't lie. 104 missed tackles this year, 4.17 yards after contact per attempt, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, over 1,500 yards this year, 18 touchdowns, and he's a highlight reel. He's just a walking highlight reel. He's elusive, size-adjusted speed for days. He's got wiggle, vision, receiving ability. Awesome in the passing game. He's probably one of the better receiving backs that we've seen come out recently. He can be lined up in the slot. He can run routes. He can make one-handed catches. He is a stud. And there's still a lot more good things I can say about him. It's Bijan Robinson is the true 101. From here, the list gets interesting. And it's hard to rank guys, because any other year, a lot of these guys could be the 101 or the RB1 in their class, due to their production, their athletic profile, what we've seen in highlights, what we've seen on tape. But at the end of the day, you got to rank them. You got to do something with them. And then you can always just readjust your rankings, but eventually you got to do something. So really, 2 through 5 is really close. Really close. 5 is pretty much the same as 2. 3 is pretty much the same as 2. It's very similar, and you can move these guys up and down all year long. I suggest diversifying and letting things shake out with the draft. But number 2 here, Jahmyr Gibbs, Alabama. One thing, draft capital might be high. Might be a first rounder. We're seeing that in a lot of mock drafts. Could slide to early day 2. Who knows? At this point, Christmas hasn't even happened yet, but we're really looking into draft early this year. A lot of people are looking into draft early. That just talks about how good this class is, because people are really interested in snapping into this class, really looking into these players, but he played well at both Georgia Tech and Alabama. People were talking about him highly as a freshman. He's also a solid receiving back. He's got a lot of wiggle, burst, speed, a good dead leg. He can also run between the tackles a little bit. He's got good vision, good approach to the line of scrimmage. He forced 35 missed tackles this season, 3.32 yards after contact per attempt. Also in the receiving game, 9.4 yards after the catch per reception, and 11.3 on his career. That is very important because if you catch the ball in the flat or just catch the ball in general, you have the potential to eat a chunk of yards, and he's demonstrating that with those numbers, and we also saw it on the field, and that's a good intangible to have because that means that if you're able to eat chunks of yards with some space in front of you, that means you're going to get more targets. And we know he's a good receiving back by the numbers. The next running back we're looking at RB3, and honestly, in a lot of classes, he'd be the RB1. He'd be flirting with it, RB1, RB2, and I've had him ranked as 2 before, and I think he's closer to a top-tier stud back than what people are giving him credit. The one thing I want to see is the draft capital, but if he's early day 2, it doesn't matter because he's going to have enough draft capital to solidify him, and he's got enough athleticism to really get it done. And I'm talking about Sean Tucker from Syracuse. And to some people, it might be a little high on him, but again, this class is studly. And Sean Tucker can do some things that I really like. He's got a lot of speed. He's a home run threat anywhere on the field. Last year, in 2021, he was productive as hell. 1,500 yards, ran almost 100 yards in every game. He was a monster. Very productive this year. Still got over 1,000 yards. Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Forced 43 missed tackles. 2.79 yards after contact per attempt, but has 3.51 yards after contact per attempt on his entire career. That crazy sophomore year with 12 touchdowns and 1,500 yards is something to note. Looks very explosive. Also in the passing game, if he catches it in the flat, in the screen game, there's space, he is a threat to house it. 8.2 yards after the catch per reception, 10.7 yards after the catch per reception on his career. The volume of receptions are not super high, but his ability to get you yards after the catch is very important here because that could transition the volume. Also, when you're a threat to house it and you do get that opportunity, you're probably going to house it. That's a good thing from Sean Tucker. I'm interested to see what he does at the combine. Also, more interested to see where he weighs in at because he's listed at like 205, 210-ish, and I just want to see where he's exactly at because when you look at the pictures, when you look at the videos, when you look at the highlights, he looks like he's team fit. So I want to see where he's at there, but I'm very interested in Sean Tucker. I'm very high on him, and if this was any other class, he'd be flirting with the RB1 range. Looking at the 4th running back here, this guy was a high-end recruit coming out of high school, 5-star guy, size adjust athleticism for days and can get it done between the tackles, projects to be a stud back, and then his career really didn't look like it, but you really wanted it to happen. I'm talking about Zach Evans from Ole Miss, formerly from TCU. Again, the athleticism pops on tape. You see that he's got some pretty highlights. It's sexy. It's good to see. I love watching him play. The production wasn't really there, but he was productive this year. It was his best season with 893 yards and 8 touchdowns this year. Played second fiddle to freshman Quinshon Judkins, which was very interesting to see. But again, that may not matter because that size-adjusted athleticism with him getting the ball in his hands could be a game changer, could be a reason why it pops at the NFL. One thing I want to see is his draft capital and where he gets drafted at. And I look for him to blow up the combine. I look for his stock to really go insane after the combine. A lot of people are talking him up, especially in the Devy circles, but your casuals, your average fans are really going to take note on him after the NFL combine because that's where his body of work is going to ignite. That's where it's going to show off, is at the combine where he blows up, runs well, is a bigger back, can move well, looks good, and his highlight film will start showing up. And he's got some plays that look good. I really want to look at him more in a vacuum. I really want to deep dive the tape a little bit more. I've watched him throughout his career. I've watched tape on him, but I love watching these players all throughout the process and really going to look at him critically through the whole process this offseason, because I want to see where he's really at. I want to see his approach to the line of scrimmage. I want to see how that is subjectively so I get a good read on him, but I really like him. In any other class, he's flirting with RB1, RB2 range. He's just a top dog. He's just a good running back. He's got the athleticism, power, size, receiving ability. He can really do it all. The next running back can do it all and has been productive. He was productive as a freshman and had a very interesting sophomore season, transferred, and then was lights out. I'm talking about Zach Charbonnet from UCLA. If you've been watching this channel, you know I like him. If you've been following me on Twitter, you know I like him. I've been talking about him for the last 5 years or so. I've been watching him in high school. This guy is a physical runner. He's thick. He'll run through your face. He's a 3-down back. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He proved that this year by catching 37 balls for 320 yards. Also has 10.4 yards after the catch per reception and 9.1 on his career. So he can get you yards after the catch, and that's very important. That and average depth of target for running backs is very important, because if you're getting targets downfield, means you got some receiving ability, and you get you yards after the catch. That's impactful. That means you got a high acuity touch there, because you're getting more yards than the average back. He's also forced 52 missed tackles this year and 69 last year. Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons at UCLA. He's a thick boy. You're not going to bring him down high. You're going to have to tackle him right. Also rushed for double-digit touchdowns, I think 11 during his freshman season at Michigan. And looked good there. Looked like he was going to be one of the best backs in college football. 2020 happened. 2020 is an excuse for everybody, but came back to UCLA and really turned things around. That Pac-12 after dark action really puts a damper on a lot of these prospects, because they play late at night. You can't really watch him, but he had some big games, had a really good senior season this year. I thought the senior season was going to hurt his stock in Dynasty, but he came out, looked better, played well, good in the receiving game, and honestly, like I've been saying about all these backs, if he was in a different class, he'd be like RB2, RB1. He looks like an RB1 in some classes. He looks like a guy who should be argued for top 3 back in a lot of classes, because he's got the production, he's got the size. I want to see where he tests at, but these numbers here are looking good. Draft capital is really going to matter. It's going to matter for a lot of these backs, because we have a pile of good running backs, and that's going to dilute some of them down lower, because you can only draft so many, and that means that you're going to catch somebody go lower than expected, and you might be able to catch a discount on that, and it might be some of these top 5 guys, because sometimes when you're looking at these players early in the process, just things start to shake out and things start to happen. But then again, those guys that you're on too early, they may pop in their NFL career, and the draft capital doesn't really matter, or it might be a short stint where they do things. But I do love Zach Charbonnet. I think he's a great back. I've been watching him for a long time. Does a lot of good things well. But let me know in the comments below which running back you're excited to draft here in 2023 for your Dynasty team. Also, I'm not sleeping on anybody. I've been into this class for years. There's just a lot of good running backs, and I just want to start things slow, or I'm just going to go overboard on the content, because I'm very excited about this class. I'm always excited about rookie drafts, because that is like one of my favorite things in all of life, believe it or not. But I want to thank you for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. I'm only going to help you with your rookie drafts going forward, your Dynasty teams going forward, setting your lineups for your redrafts or Dynasty teams, your in-league stuff, your in-season stuff right now. I'm helping you out with that as well. But I want to thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.